Alright, if you're confused by the sticky notes, they'll all make sense in a few minutes. So if you're anything like me, I get on location, I'm pretty much rolling all day. I try to capture as much as I can. Sometimes I'm capturing the same thing multiple different times, maybe a different way, a different angle, a different composition. Especially with interviews, sometimes people answer a question differently the first time you ask it versus the second time you ask it, and these different ways may make more sense depending on how you're editing your video. So we're going to add on to the full screen editing, keyboard shortcuts that we talked about last week, and add a different way to label your video so that we can make the editing process a little bit more tactile. You can see the different parts of your story and how they build together and move things around to build your story. So let's get into it. So there are a few hotkeys we're going to add to the list. M creates a marker, Control M edits that marker, Shift M goes to the next marker, Control Shift M goes to the previous marker, and Control Alt M deletes the currently selected marker. You can do all of this in full screen mode, even though you can't see the marker dialog box. You can still type in it, you can still press enter to confirm what you've typed, and you can keep going to the next one. In case Control Alt M isn't working for you, it wasn't working for me because of GeForce Experience, so I went into that program, disabled the hotkey, it was for mute your microphone, and now it works for me in Premiere. It's important to note that there are a few different ways that you can mark different parts of your video. You can do sequence markers, you can mark clips, you can mark adjustment layers, which is useful sometimes. And if you hang out to the very end of the video, I'm going to show you a cool way how to use markers on audio tracks. Another thing to pay attention to is the ripple sequence markers selection. So you can check that box so that your markers move with your clip when you're using your Q and your W to trim down clips. And also the copy paste includes sequence markers, so your markers follow you when you move one sequence into another sequence. Say if you have an interview and you move that sequence into your main video, you will still have those markers, so you'll know where you need different B-roll shots over the interview. Just make sure you're using sequence markers for these and not clip markers, because your clip markers will not show up in the sequence when it's in another sequence. Okay, so we're here in Premiere. I already have these clips cut up. Going to add markers to it based on what's going on. So we have the sticky notes. This marker says sit down at desk. So Control M to edit and sit down at desk. Okay, go to the next one. This one is turn on ambient light. So Control M, turn on and enter. Okay, and so to show you how this works in full screen mode, we're going to go full screen. Control apostrophe, and we are going to do the next one. So this one's turn on key light. So Control M, turn on key light, enter. And the next one is review notes. So Control M, review notes, enter. And then Control apostrophe again to get out of full screen mode, and you can see here all of the markers. Now these are just like the sticky notes at the beginning, so you can actually see what clips are going on down here, and you can move these around to build your story. Now when you move them around, you need to make sure that you have copy paste include sequence markers checked, so that when you take this and you copy it and you paste it somewhere else in your timeline, it's there. So you want to make sure you don't slide things around like that. So that's how I use markers to label my sequences. It's like having a sticky note on your clips. It makes it a lot easier to see where everything is and move things around to build your story. Now we're going to get into the fun part. So if you're a little bit rhythmically challenged like I am, and you have a hard time editing to the beat, especially when you're trying to find the beat at random parts in the song, this is going to help out a lot. So what you're going to do is you're going to double click your song. You're going to start at the beginning, and you're just going to play it. And every time there's a beat, you're going to hit the marker. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just like a reference point. When you're editing, if you find a different spot that's better for your transition or your cut or whatever, that's fine. But I'm doing my best at hitting the M on the beat as I'm talking. I'm not really sure if I'm still hitting it at this point or not. This is the basic technique that I use to do this sometimes, and it makes it a lot easier for me. So hopefully it works for you. So yeah, this is just a technique that I've found helpful to edit to the beat. I hope you found it helpful too. If you have any other suggestions for editing in markers, definitely make sure you let me know. And if you know somebody that you think will find this helpful too, please definitely make sure you share it with them. And I'm going to get back to this edit, so I'll see you next time.